Nebraska, the Cornhuskers are going to be at Pinnacle Bank Arena tonight at 8 p.m. Central against the Fighting Illini of Illinois. It is their 17th game this season. Nebraska coming off of a win at Minnesota on the road on January 7th in overtime, and had a tremendous effort from Derek Walker with 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. Nebraska stayed in the fight. Jawan Gary was battling on the inside with a season high of 18 points as well. A big tip-in he had in order to kind of, push the lead and preserve a run that Minnesota was pushing themselves on. Griesel is continuously starting to show some consistency in running the team with 17, 6, and 5. Nebraska went 8 from 11 from the free throw line. That is something that was a tremendous emphasis for them to make sure that they shore up. Because when you get into games like this, these overtime games, you want to be able to knock those down. They were able to do that to preserve the win. Now, the Fighting Illini, Austin, are coming in to this game at 10-5, 1-3 in Big Ten play. But the thing about them, though, is they're coming off, knocking off number 14, Wisconsin, 79-69 on Saturday. The team shot 47% from the field, had 4 players in double figures. They were able to pull off a big upset for them against number 14, Wisconsin. So now we have the difference between this team, Austin, and the team of old is this team had Trent, Trent Frazier. What'd you say? Trent Frazier. Yeah, they had Trent Frazier, and they had big boy, big body Kofi Cockburn. They came in banging, but the Huskers fought. They hung in there. They were able to keep it close and got a little run at the end, the last 4 minutes, to end up losing the game. But they don't have that this year. They basically had to retool and revamp. So this team is not coming in the same, but they're coming off a confident win against a good Wisconsin team. What are your expectations for tonight? What does this team have to do tonight? I'll give my perspective after you, but what are your thoughts? Also, Sauter Heyman text line is open, 402-464-5685, and we would like to take maybe one call from you guys to hear what your perspective is, what you think about this team. Do you think they peaked, or do you think they have more to offer? Love to hear from you. Go ahead.
So I would have liked this game a lot better for Nebraska if Wisconsin had found a way to beat Illinois. Illinois played closer to its talent level against Wisconsin. Think about how Illinois started the season. That win in New York against Texas, that was huge for them. What a game that was. So it's a little bit different of a team than normal because it's kind of pieced together with transfers. Terrence Shannon, transfer. Matt Meyer, he's a transfer. Those are the 2 best players on the team. Sky Clark just left the team, but he's a transfer. So and Shannon and Meyer, 2 of your guys averaging over 10 points. And that's a similarity between these 2 teams, Strick. A lot of guys in that 9 to 10 point range. Nebraska's got 6 averaging at least 9. Illinois has 5. So Terrence Shannon, I still think, is the dude for Illinois. I think he's going to be the one that has the ball in his hands if the game gets tight late and he can take over. I think Meyer's a bad matchup. I think he's an interesting kind of wing guy that Nebraska doesn't have a great answer for. I think you stick Juwan Gary on him, but I still think Meyer's
that's the only option. Yeah, I don't think CJ Wilcher can handle him. I don't think CJ can handle him. Then you're going to risk wearing out Griesel. Vandermill potentially, but he's kind of got a little wiry strength to him that could possibly get Vandermill in foul trouble type of deal. So you're right. He's kind of just one of those trouble matches for the Huskers.
Right, because I think you get Vandermill on Shannon. I think Shannon's still explosive enough athletically that Vanderbilt has to have a great defensive game. Shannon's going to get his. He's a tough shot taker. He's a tough shot maker. Make him work for it. You want to get the ball in Terrence Shannon's hands and keep it there. Because if he's able to distribute to guys like Matt Meyer, who's spotted up, to Dane Danger, the other one that interests me is Coleman Hawkins. I wasn't sold on him last year. He was weird, just a random throw into that lineup. He's really come into his own, completely different than Kofi. They were playing 4 round 1 with Kofi. They can legitimately play 5 out now with Coleman Hawkins. I do like that Nebraska saw a guy like Dawson Garcia, a little bit stretchier of a big, but Garcia created more offense than I think Hawkins will. So I think there's more of an emphasis on Derek Walker to stop those ball screens, none of the help side guys to be there. Hawkins isn't going to create a whole lot. So if you can take away the driver and then quick recover back out to Hawkins, you won't have to worry as much about him being that second side ball handler to create like Garcia was.
Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I can't see because I'm not in studio right now, Austin. I don't know if the board is ringing. If not, we won't take a call. We'll just continue on. But that's fine. But like I said, we always love to hear from you guys. Also on the stream, we love to hear from you as well. But the text line did have something to say, and I wanted to address it real quick. Texter 6153 said that I think Kemp is a couple inches taller. Wait, no, let's go back. He says Billy Kemp is a good pickup. He is very productive for Virginia, and he's really good punt return, kick return guy. He'll definitely have a role on this team. I think Kemp is a couple of inches taller than Wan'Dale Robinson, but just not as thick. He's probably more of a true slot receiver, as you said, Austin, and instead of a Swiss Army knife type of guy. So that's a little something out of the text line. I'm hoping, because one of the things that you said about this earlier, I think it may have been in the crossover. Well, I think was said in the crossover was this team, Nebraska, is 6-1 at home, which is an unusual thing, but it's a great stat to make mention of as they find themselves coming back home. It seems like they seem to get it going. I think the crowds have been tremendous for them since I've been going to the games. They've been great, been very supportive, but you've seen the effort. The effort just seems to go to the effort's always there, whether they're on the road or whatnot, except the Michigan State. It kind of was a little bit, it wasn't the same. But I'm hoping that they can start to stretch this roster, get some extra guys a little bit more time, get them a little bit more experience, get them a little bit more effort guys out there. I just don't see them having success if they have to continue to play their starters with those high minute totals for the rest of the year.
They might be able to survive January doing that, but you don't end the season in January. You still got February, and then the tournament's in early March, the Big Ten tournament, that is. If you want to be, rounding into form at the right time, to some degree, you might have to take some lumps right now. Obviously, you're not in a position where you can give games away or bank wins and say, we're okay with letting the young guys roll here. But I think there's a fine line to draw between making sure you're playing to win, you have your best guys on the floor, and making sure you get wins, and really a pivotal year for Fred Hoiberg, but also making sure that, the last taste you're going to leave in people's mouth, more than likely, is that Big Ten tournament. You want to be playing your best basketball at the end of February into March, rather than, a week and a half into January. So if that means you sit Sam Griesel for an extra couple minutes, if you sit Emmanuel Bandamel for a couple extra minutes over this next, couple weeks of games, where you're on the road a lot too, Strick. That's the thing. Nebraska's not at home very much. You have this game, you have Ohio State, and then you have Northwestern at home, but you still have 4 more road games in the month of January you got to get through. So if you were at home and not traveling, I haven't done anything more than bus trips, but being in the league, travel's different than being at home, right? There's just a different vibe to it. Hopping on planes, hopping on buses versus being able to sleep in your own bed. So whenever you can steal those guys an extra minute or two of rest, you have to find a way to balance that short-term game of here's what we're doing tonight versus what's our long-term goal and how can we best accomplish that.
See, I'm going to have to ask Fred this question the next time I'm back in town and I go to a media day, because you just said something that's very interesting. When I was playing, Austin, one of the things that we used to do is Coach Danny Nee would basically take us out of our houses and put us on East Campus at one of the hotels there. And we would stay there at the hotel and prepare that night. We would eat together. We would have a roommate. We would just sleep there on campus, get ready, go do a shoot around the next day, and get ready for the game. That's kind of how we would do it. we pretty much would stay that whole time. I just don't know if this team does that. I don't know if they do that while they're at home. I'm going to ask that question. I want to find that out. I think that's an interesting thing because another part of it too, Austin, is when I played in the league, a lot of people don't understand the difference between 30, maybe 40 games than 80-something games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big difference. I still don't like the fact that they start resting people and, fans pay good money in order to see those guys play. But I can understand. I also know that those cats didn't have two-a-days the way that we had it too, Austin. The two-a-days we had, I mean, it was 5 days. It was a whole week. It's like they go to 3 practices and they play exhibition games. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened here? Why wasn't this going on? Whew. We had to jump in ice baths and all kinds of stuff just to keep ourselves going. The best time of my life, Austin, was when I was in Boston and I came late. So I missed all the training camp, but I was in shape. Went straight to playing. I was like, yeah.
Living it. Living right.
That's a dynamic though. It really is. How you're handling at home and road games. And on top of that, even though it's not 80-something games, man, 30-something games with those type of minutes, if you're not used to that and your body's not acclimated to that, it can be a monster.
And your longest break is only going to be a handful of days. You're not doing like you had the last
few days. Years.
Yeah, like in COVID or even last year, Nebraska was playing more that, what Fred called an NBA schedule, where you have like 1 day between games, the 1 day preps. You at least have a couple days, sometimes a few days between games, but your long break is done. You're in it now. I mean, Christmas is coming on, playing consistently from here to the Big Ten tournament. So you have to find ways to, keep those guys as fresh as you can while understand, hey, this is the grind. You guys got to find a way, especially mentally, to get through it.
Austin, I'm going to give away something right now. I'm going to do a giveaway. I'm going to give away either a basketball card or a picture to a listener on the stream or also off the text line. Check this out. When I was playing with the Vancouver Grizzlies, we had one of the longest road trips I've ever had in my career. How long was that road trip? And how long was that road trip? It's a 2-part. How long was that road trip? I'll give away 2. I'll give away 1 for the road trip time, and I'll give away 1 for how many games we played in 1 week. And nice. to amass that. So how many games were we able to get in 1 week on that? And also, how long was the road trip? If you can answer that, I'll give away one of my basketball cards or a signed autograph picture on the text line. If you can. It don't have to be in this segment. No, not yet. Nobody's got it yet. You guys are close. No, not yet. I see you coming in. But we're going to take a break. And once you hit, we'll come back and announce the winner. But thank you guys once again for tapping in. Again, how long was the road trip? And how many games in 1 week were we able to get in while on the road trip? We'll be right back. This is 93.7 The Ticket.